All right, it's time to track the tropics here on Texas Live and Local. Fox 26 meteorologist Remeisha Shade here. Let's talk about what's going on. And once again, I'm going to start off in the Pacific because that's where we have all the action. Really, the Eastern Pacific, Central Pacific. We've got several systems that we are closely tracking, monitoring, watching. You can see the Hawaiian Islands here. Just south of the Hawaiian Islands, we have not one, but two tropical systems. We've got now major Hurricane Iona, and we've got Tropical Storm Kelly, and they are right behind one another. But the good news is that they are passing south of the Hawaiian Islands. They're pushing to the west, and I don't think it's going to be any major issue to Hawaii if you do have any vacation plans there over the next few days. First, let's look at Hurricane Iona. Right now, winds all the way up to 125 miles per hour, so this one means business. Thank goodness it's just out there churning over the open water. It is going to start to weaken a little bit, but right now a Category 3 major hurricane down to 105 mile per hour winds by Wednesday afternoon. Then as it starts to run into less favorable conditions, it should weaken to a Category 1 hurricane by Thursday afternoon with 80 mile per hour winds. But bottom line, it should not have any major impacts on Hawaii. We also have Tropical Storm Kelly right behind that one. This system much weaker, 40 mile per hour winds, and it is forecast to become a weak tropical depression out there over open water by Thursday. So both systems should stay south of the Hawaiian Islands. However, that's in the Central Pacific. Let's hop over to the Western Eastern Pacific, and we've got another tropical disturbance with a high 70% chance to develop. This is Invest 98E, and then closer to Mexico, we've got another high chance for a tropical depression, tropical storm, or hurricane to pop up over the next 2 to 7 days. This system now up to a 90% chance for development, and this one has a much higher chance of bringing some wind, some rain, some high surf, rip current risk to parts of that southwestern Mexican coast. So keep checking back because we've got so much going on across the Central and Eastern Pacific. But the good news for the U.S. Gulf Coast, all of these systems are moving away from the U.S., but you can see them kind of lined up one after the other. So this is where we have all of the action right now. So with all of that going on, you may be wondering, what's going on in the Atlantic? Well, we start to see several systems lining up like this and maybe heading towards the east coast of the U.S., maybe heading towards the Gulf, the Caribbean. Well, at least for the next week, we're looking good. No tropical activity expected for the next 7 days in the Atlantic basin, which of course would include the Atlantic Ocean, the Caribbean, and the Gulf. However, we do still have a 60% shot for and above normal season. So even though we've been slowly but surely kind of creeping along, we haven't had any major blow-ups of these tropical systems, there's still going to be a chance, especially as we get into August and September. So far for the Atlantic season, we've only had 3 tropical storms, but on average, we have about 14 named storms, 7 of those becoming hurricanes and 3 becoming major hurricanes. And typically, we start to get that first hurricane in the Atlantic basin around August 11th. So just keep in mind, as we start to push into August the next few days, things will likely start to ramp up across the Atlantic Ocean, those systems starting to come off of the west coast of Africa, and we could also have development in the Gulf and Caribbean as well. Next name on the list, still Dexter. We had a couple of shots for Dexter to develop in the Gulf. Didn't happen, thank goodness. So that would be the next name, and of course we are monitoring things closely. At least for the next week, things appear to be fairly quiet, although we still have quite a bit of warm, soupy, steamy water out there in the Gulf, the Caribbean, and the Western Atlantic. Really, the one thing that's been saving us from a lot of tropical activity for the Atlantic basin has been all of the Saharan dust that's just been pretty thick and coming off of the west coast of Africa in big waves, and that continues. But when we get into August, I think some of this thick dust, which is dusty, dry air, will start to kind of dissipate, and then that will allow these systems a better opportunity to start to get going. So what do we have going on out there right now? This is Wednesday. Our Fox Weather tropical model trying to show a little something going in the eastern Atlantic. This is close to the west coast of Africa, but it would have to survive the dry, dusty air from the Saharan dust, and it would have to get all the way across the Atlantic before it would have a chance of impacting the Caribbean islands first, and then maybe reaching the east coast of the U.S. So it is going to have a difficult path to survival, but we'll watch it as we go through the week to see if it can make it to the Caribbean islands. This model not really doing much with it. So overall, it looks like we don't have a ton to worry about for this week. But like I said, in a few days, we're jumping into August, mid to late August. Things typically start to ramp up in September, our busiest month of hurricane season historically. So we'll keep watching it and we'll let you know if there's anything to be concerned about. More Texas Live and Local after the break.